Truly healthy plants have the capacity to be completely resistant to disease and insect pests. We understand that as people, all of us have our own immune systems, and our immune systems don't all function equally well. We all have friends who become ill with the first cold or flu bug that comes along. And then we have other friends who practically never become ill. The only difference between those two is how well their immune system has been supported with nutrition over the course of their entire lifetime. Not in the last 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months, but from the moment they were born, or even in fact before they were born. This same concept also holds true for plants. There's a lot of research about plant immune function and how plants can become resistant to different types of disease and insect pests. This is information that we have not applied in our production agricultural systems. There are two different types of immune system pathways that are quite complex. The interactions between them are not yet fully understood. The first pathway is termed the systemic acquired resistance pathway, or the SAR pathway. And the trigger for the SAR pathway is salicylic acid, which is aspirin. The second pathway is termed the induced systemic resistance pathway, or ISR, which is triggered by a combination of jasmonic acid and ethylene interactions. So there's a great deal of discussion about how these immune pathways produce resistance in plants and how they might be used and applied in the field. So I'd like to share several experiences that we have had with crops that we have worked with in our plant nutrition consulting work at Advancing Eco-Agriculture that have responded very well and became very resistant to different types of diseases and insects very quickly with the proper nutritional support. This first is from a corn field in central Pennsylvania that we had the opportunity to work with in 2015. The corn crop was infected with wireworm shortly after planting. We put on a foliar application of 3 different Advancing Eco-Agriculture plant nutrition products. And this image was taken 2 weeks after the application. The plants on the left are treated. Plant on the right obviously is untreated. You can see the plant on the left has much larger root systems, and we saw that consistently across the entire field. Plants had much more fibrous root systems, and the wireworm infection was greatly reduced. Another example is a seed potato operation that we worked with in Arizona. Typically, seed potatoes receive 7 to 10 fungicide applications over the course of the entire growing season, since they need to be certified as being completely disease-free. These potatoes experienced a very hard freeze, and immediately after the freeze, a single fungicide application was applied to try to protect the plants from disease infection. Over the rest of the growing season, there were no fungicide applications applied. They were inspected numerous times throughout the season, and they were certified as being completely disease-free and completely virus-free at the end of the growing season, which is a significant accomplishment. So these plants were able to be completely resistant to diseases without any ongoing fungicide applications. A similar example is a cherry farm that we've worked with in the Hood River Valley of Oregon. These cherries are Sweethearts, which is a variety that is very susceptible to powdery mildew. On an experimental block this last year, we applied no fungicide applications for powdery mildew, and we were unable to find any evidence of powdery mildew in the entire block. Perhaps most intriguing of all is a berry farm that we have worked with in the past in Oregon. This farm is growing strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. Over the last 3-year period, there has been a fair bit of spotted-wing Drosophila pressure, otherwise known as SWD, in the Willamette Valley of Oregon, particularly on the later crops. Over the last 3 years, both in 2012 and 2013, there was severe SWD pressure. This particular blackberry field is 50 feet away from the neighbor's field, directly across the farm roadway. In 2 out of the last 3 years, the neighboring farm was unable to harvest his crop because of SWD's pressure in spite of intense pesticide applications. This specific farm is organically certified. No pesticide applications, purely support of plants' immune systems with nutrition. They were able to harvest their complete crop and were not able to detect any spotted-wing Drosophila infection. Do you want to be the first to learn about new ideas? Subscribe to our blog at advancingecoag.com and connect on social media. Click the button below to subscribe and to learn more about cutting-edge ag technologies.